there are two things that she spoke about that I want to hit on real quick, and these are stories that I've shared when I've spoken about this topic. One around the financial literacy piece. When I first started this and I had anecdotal information, one of the things that I knew was clear from my own personal experience. I remember when I got my first federal government job. And my husband was active duty at the time, in E4, and I got my first job as a GS9. And I remember he and I jumping up and down like we had just hit the lottery. Like, we are paid now. Like, oh my God, we're so rich now, right? And when I got my first LES statement, I was trying to figure out why that net pay, it didn't seem to match that salary that they told me. So I started looking at that LES statement and I was like, what is this TSP thing? And why are they taking so much taxes out of my check? And what is this FEGLI thing? And I ran right over to HR and I said, hey, I need to figure out how to get more money in that net pay. So can I reduce my TSP? Can I reduce my FEGLI? And they said, we advise you against that. Don't do that. I said, well, you're not me, and you haven't had 2 kids and paying student loans and been struggling, and I need every little dollar I can get in that paycheck. So I need you to reduce those things so I can get that extra $5 or $10. I wish I had someone at that time who would have talked me out of that, who would have said, Tanisha, there's such a thing as compound interest. There's such a thing as reducing your tax liability. There's a such thing as making sure that if you passed away, your family would be covered because they're losing the income that you're bringing in. And I didn't have that because as much as my mom, who instilled such a huge, strong work ethic in me, and I watched my mom work 2 and 3 jobs to take care of me, but all of her money went to rent, went to utilities, to pay a phone bill. There was no disposable income left over after that. So I didn't know about savings. I didn't know about planning for retirement. I didn't know about investments. And so I think financial literacy is so key for first-generation professionals. That's the only thing I'm gonna say before I need to bring up to the stage real quick, and my staff is probably thinking, what is she doing? She's deviating. I wanna bring up to the stage Tech Sergeant Paul Witt real quick. Y'all give him a round of applause. So I met Sergeant Witt when I was speaking at a conference in Orlando, right? And he was off to the side and he waited for me to speak to me. He shared a little bit about his journey, and immediately I put him to work because I was doing a workshop, and I said, hey, I need some help. So since you're talking to me, can you do some things in this workshop? And he was like, sure, I'd love to do that. So Tech Sergeant Paul Witt is the non-commissioned officer in charge of the Honor Guard at Kirkland Air Force Base in New Mexico, right? So we had that brief meeting, he helped me out, and I thought that was it. About 2 weeks later, I get this email from Sergeant Witt, and it is a 4-page letter. And in this letter is so thorough, and I'll tell you, Carissa also wrote me a long letter, but in this, he answered all the questions that I posed to FGPs in this workshop, and he gave very thorough, comprehensive answers to me, to those questions. And it is because of that I said, I have to feature you, because one of the things that you did for me, and even though I am the wife of a retired Air Force member, what he did for me is he gave me insight that there are first-generation professionals in our active duty ranks. And also, if you look in your booklet, you will see we have 3 veterans in there who are first-generation professionals, and each one of them, Charles Clark, Stephanie Mendez, and Snyder Page, talk about how it was the military that helped them move in that social class, that helped them get their education, that helped them transition. And for that, I want to acknowledge him. I want to acknowledge the veterans in our program booklet. Let's give them a round of applause. And so I asked him, could he be here today? And he said no, because he's in an honor guard training over at Anacostia Bowlings Joint Air Force Base, right? and they only gave him a half-day pass. And if any of you have military experience, you know what that means. When he said, ma'am, I have to be back by 12:30 hours, I was like, we're gonna make sure you get back by 12:30 hours. That means you need to leave right now because DC traffic is something else. And we don't want you to be late. But I thank you so much for asking for permission to get out of your class today and join us. I appreciate you. And equally important, I know that you have your own family, and I know that you have a military family. But I want you to know now you have an FGP family that's got your back.